Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what I'm going to refer to as the main event. We're in a departure from the standard Pharma conference sessions, which have all been tremendously valuable at this point. We're going to facilitate, and you're going to bear witness to, a live Oxford-style debate. And the topic, who should lead field strategy, medical or commercial? Now, my name's Steve Royle, I'll be your moderator. I'd briefly like to introduce you to your two master debaters. The representing medical on your right, John.
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is John and I lead global medical education and digital comms at Gilead and Kite.
And in the grey trunks, representing the commercial side, I'll introduce Daniel.
Hi, everybody. Daniel from the second largest pharma company in Germany, which is Bayer. And at Bayer, I'm responsible for commercial excellence in the region EMEA.
Wonderful. Now,
nice to meet you, John.
Good luck.
May the better one win.
Very good. Very good sportsman spirit right there. So this topic may seem a little bit unrealistic to the room, but in the interests of a compelling debate, we'd like you all just to put yourself in the hypothetical scenario as follows. You work for a pharmaceutical company, it's just appointed a new CEO from Coca-Cola. No pharma experience, they've done a review, they say keep your MSLs, keep your field sales teams, but only one of them can be responsible for dictating and generating and setting up the overall strategy and processes. Who should it be? Now, you have to make up your mind as to what you would inform the CEO and who should lead it. And you're going to need to vote, and you're going to need to vote now, if that's okay. And what we're going to do is take a baseline, and then after the debate, you can then decide if your position has changed or not. So if you get a moment, please get out your devices. Want everyone to do it. I'll call you out if you don't, and make your vote right now. Force yourself to make the decision. There's no fence sitting, getting splinters in backsides. You need to make a call. Now, while the results come in, I'll just talk about the rules of the debate. I'll be asking the questions. One side will answer, the other side will then answer, and the original side will have the opportunity to retort to that second answer if they wish. And at the end of the three questions, we'll take the poll again, see if it's moved the dial a little bit, and we'll announce who will be buying the drinks this evening. Yeah, they're still coming in. It's closer than I expected. But one more second. Right, a 10% split, 55-45 to commercials. So you've got the win behind you, Daniel. So, rightio, John, as you've travelled the farthest to be here, you get to decide who answers the first question first.
Well, so it looks like I'm on a back footing, so I'm happy to start first.
Kick off. Rightio, gentlemen. No biting, no gouging, no hitting below the belt. Let's begin. The first topic, so just to set the background, when developing and executing a successful field strategy, there's a critical balance that we seek to achieve between scientific expertise, focus on disease awareness, education, product, data, which is the medical affairs side, and market access and sales execution, the commercial side. So the question is, summarise the core responsibilities for field teams in your function, and why do those responsibilities make your function best placed to define and drive the overall field strategy? John.
Okay, so when I think of a field strategy, there are two key pillars that I think about. There is insights and there is communication. And I think these two things are what medical is best at. We generate insights through our various engagements channels, so whether it's advisory boards, patient engagements, one-to-one engagements at Congress, and these insights are key to then shaping the organizational sort of strategy overall. But also, we get insights about those specific HCPs. Remember, from the product life cycle, medical is leading in the pre-launch space, and that's when we start having these engagements. So we're getting a lot of insights about how an HCP wants to be engaged, what topics they want to be talking about, but also insights about the landscape in general, and that's key to then bring forward to when a product is launched. And then in terms of communication, we are great at personalizing the scientific engagement. We are able to look at all the data that's out there and communicate the key piece of data that's going to resonate with that specific HCP in order to help them with that clinical decision-making that they need to do. So that's why medical should be clearly leading this.
Very good. Okay, Daniel, the ball's over in your court now. Why is commercial best placed to define and drive the overall strategy?
Thank you. So I fully agree with what John has mentioned around the importance of insights. I would expand on that from the commercial perspective. I would see the responsibilities of the commercial team to actually start in the first step to build a relationship, to get the sort of relationship going, to actually really still extract the insights from the customer. I really understand the customer needs as you've described. But I think also importantly, from a commercial perspective, understand where does that customer sit in terms of value generation? What's the potential of this customer as it pertains to the therapy that we have to offer? It's then also to the customer positioning our offerings sort of within the context that John has accurately described, within the context of the clinic, within the context of the patient population, of the physician, and then also ultimately, I think the final point is action, right? Agreeing an action that the physician does, agreeing an action that we do, the service, the product that we deliver, and having that agreement on action. So I think I would add that we need this element of really assessing where the potential is for our to generate value for us, and to really that agreement on action. And because of that holistic view, and because that I think is the ultimate goal of field strategy, is to get to the holistic view of the value for the customer, the value for us, and to the action. That's why I think the commercial team has the more holistic view on it and can really direct the overall field strategy.
Interesting. John, you have the opportunity to choose to retort if you wish.
You make very good points, but I obviously disagree.
John, this is supposed to be a fight, fellas. You can,
I think what I would say is I think it's down to what the HCP wants at the end of the day, right? And more often, the majority of the time, it's because they want to be educated or they have a question that they want an answer to support a decision that they want to make in clinic. And I think this is where medical is best placed to be providing that. But also, time after time, we've got loads of research that shows when you ask HCPs about channels that they like or want to engage with from a pharma perspective, medical or MSLs usually come up as one of the top channels. So we need to give HCPs what they want.
There we go. Good response. I should keep in mind, we'll just in the interest of sticking to time, from here we'll have 2 minutes a response each, with the retort allowed once, and that'll bring us right up to time. So, topic 2. Right today, silos have evolved between medical affairs and commercial teams, which have caused significant barriers to seamless, customer-centric model and integrating your approaches. So the question is, which function is best placed to effectively bridge that gap to ensure the seamless internal communications and collaborations with the alternate department to execute a unified field strategy? You have 2 minutes, and Daniel, you can kick off this time.
So I think that goes well beyond just commercial and medical and bridging that gap. I think what we really need is we need to rally an entire team that might include regulatory, certainly field access or access, and possibly even clinical operations for certain customers. We need to get an entire team behind a mission, right? And so I think we need that's exactly what we need to do. We need to rally behind a mission and a goal. I think that goal in the end needs to be what we like to call triple win. There needs to be a value for the customer, there needs to be a value for the patient, and there needs to be a value for us. And so this triple win, I think, needs to be defined. And again, because of the holistic view I was referring earlier, linking the action to also the value that we in the end can generate, which makes the entire thing, the field strategy, sustainable long term, also financially. I think that's really basically why the field team is well placed to bridge the gap and rally everybody behind one goal.
Very good. John, over to you.
So for me, an easy answer, medical, of course, is the best place to do this because we are already connected to a lot of these key functions, clinical development, clinical operations when it comes to clinical trials and looking at our pipeline, regulatory when it comes to product labeling, public affairs, when we collaborate with them on their activities, patient affairs, commercial. And so we are, for all the better word, the red thread or the consistency that is floating through. So it's important to make sure that we utilize this to bring everyone together. And as I mentioned, those insights that we are driving, they are influencing a lot of what's happening in a lot of these functions.
Daniel, you have the opportunity to retort to.
My response would be taking a quote from the earlier panel here, which basically said medical is not doing selling, right? So I think that's what I would agree with that. And so I think, while I agree with the insights, but in the end, for this to be, again, sustainable long term, we need to bring the team together and link this in the end, not primarily, but somewhere we need to create this link back to the value to our business, and how do we extract value, how do we get part of that, and can through that sustain our activity. And that's why I think that's uniquely where the commercial team can sort of take their selling perspective and bring that in and rally everybody behind.
Excellent. Well, they're both compelling arguments, but what we want to move into now for the final question of the debate is, how do we measure it? What sort of measurements can we use? There's a lot of talk about vanity metrics versus meaningful metrics at the moment. Let's talk beyond the sales figures. What key metrics should be used to measure the success of the field strategy? And how can the lead department ensure data is collected and analysed to demonstrate the effectiveness of their approach versus the other? We're back to you, John.
So, again, for me, it's about ultimately improving those outcomes for our patients, and how are we going to be measuring this? From a medical perspective, for me, it's about understanding that HCP's base knowledge. Have I managed to change that? What behaviors are going to be contributing to that sort of improvement in patient outcomes? Are they identifying the patient early? Are they referring early? Are they counseling the patient appropriately? It may be that the HCP is not offering my product to that patient, but maybe because that's not the right patient for the product, and that's okay. The key thing is the HCP taking a systematic approach to that thinking, and am I supporting that HCP with the right data and with the right message? And then wanting to understand from the HCP, what is their feedback about that content that I'm giving them, or that engagement? Will they recommend it? We were talking about the Net Promoter Score earlier. Is this something that they liked? Is there something that needs to change? Because I think we sit, as was mentioned earlier, we sit in our bubble and we think everything we do is great. But I don't think we listen enough to people's feedback about what we do, and I think it's important to start collaborating with HCPs in terms of our content to make sure it's fit for purpose, but also listen and understand, is what we're doing fit for purpose? Is it great? Is it not great? And how can we actually change it?
Very good. Daniel, over to you.
So I think, fully agree. I think this is where we really can come together. It's where a unifying element, I think, is coming out, which I would agree is measuring the customer experience. And I think earlier was already nicely shared about NPS and customer satisfaction. I think that's where really we can bring functions together, because in the end, that's the end goal we all go for. Very nicely so. We have evidence now at Bayer, but I think generally in industries that is strongly linked to ultimately also selling outcome. So I think that makes that a very nice metric that we can all rally behind. And of course, you can link that metric to the different activity metrics that medical might have, sentiment or engagement scores, or same on the commercial side. So I think that really is a useful metric to put there. And again, then when it comes to measuring effectiveness, it depends, of course, what we understand under effectiveness. Under effectiveness, by and large, you can mention patient outcomes. Most companies still ultimately would measure effectiveness in a sales outcome, which could be linked to patient outcome, but not necessarily. And so that's why I think that's where really the commercial picture comes in, and possibly many companies also for compliance reasons, you can really only then link certain outcomes to sales or to ultimate business outcome on the commercial side. So that's why I would think that I would see the unifying element in CX, but then commercial really making that final link to the effectiveness that we're also looking for as an outcome from a company's perspective.
Wonderful. Well, John, it's you get the final say. So make every word count.
Well, I would say Daniel made very good points, and I agree with what you say. Things have evolved significantly over the past few years for medical affairs, and I think medical has moved from being just a support function that's sitting in the background, just giving input here and there or approving content to someone who's a real strategic partner. And I think now is the time for medical to be actually leading on these things, and maybe commercial can be supporting with some of the great things that you were talking about.
There we go, a big uppercut to finish the debate from John right there. Okay, well, you've heard the three questions and the competing answers. Now's our opportunity to get your phones back out, and we'll do the vote again, if that's okay. It was 56-44 to commercial, and we'll in a moment present the QR code to see if the dial has indeed moved one way or the other. So take your phones out, please, everyone, and make it count.
Who gets to pay the drinks? The winner or the loser?
The loser buys.
Okay, good. All right. That's just to be clear about that.
Oh dear.
This. Oof.
Oh.
Commercial has left the room. Maybe they go for lunch.
This is quite remarkable. Oh. You're joking.
What an audience.
Well, that's fantastic.
Ooh.
Oh!
Whoa.
Oh, he's come from behind. Okay.
I think that's a win for...
I've gone up by 5 points.
You have gone up by 5
I'm going to
points.
say it's a split decision, but the dial has moved slightly more for the medical team. So
I'll take that.
But I think just before we tie it off, this was an exceptionally difficult job for both of these participants, because we all recognise the attributes and strengths of both departments, and the pure ideal model for customer centricity moving forward is an integration of those strengths and strategies. So, yeah, it was a fantastic, compelling argument. The point of this is that it's the end of the debate, but maybe the start of the conversation on what the future model could look like. And on that note, I'd like you all to thank the debaters for their marvellous efforts in bringing this to life. Thank you.